What's up, guys? You are tuned in to the Casual Wrestling Monday Night Raw post show. I am NerdyD. If you were listening, you are the CWC, and this is the show where we join together to ask and answer the biggest questions coming out of Monday Night Raw this week. But before we get to that, do me a little favor. Make sure to tap the like button. It only takes 2 seconds. It lets YouTube know you're listening, and it helps us grow the casual wrestling community. We continue to chip away at the IWC stronghold over online wrestling conversation. Without further ado, let's jump into a little bit of housekeeping this week. So, didn't record over the weekend. Sat down Friday night after SmackDown, got everything ready, started to kind of line the camera up, get the equipment all fired up, and I knocked the camera over and cracked my lens, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because I've been wanting a new camera lens, so it gave me an excuse to go ahead and pull the trigger and order a new lens. So there was no Friday Night SmackDown post show. There was no Champ and the Chick over the weekend. I didn't forget to post them. They weren't recorded. I took the weekend off, kind of got refreshed. The lens actually came in Tuesday afternoon, which is why the Raw post show is posting just a little later than normal. But we'll be right back on schedule. We'll be up and running, starting with the Casual Wrestling Community podcast this week. And the Friday Night SmackDown post show will post as usual. So that's what happened. Wasn't MIA. Didn't forget to post anything. Just little studio accident led to us taking the weekend off. The Casual Wrestling merchandise is available. It is at casualwrestling.com. I am excited about the amount of people who ordered t-shirts in the first week in the soft launch of the website. More than I ever expected. It's kind of cool to see that, like, out in the world, there's going to be casual wrestling merchandise walking around, possibly at wrestling events and things like that. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. I know there's a couple people who had problems with orders, not getting tracking numbers. I'm working with Shopify and Printify to kind of get that straightened away, and I'll be shooting messages to those people. But if you haven't picked up any merch, make sure to go to casualwrestling.com. There's a merch tab. You can check out all the cool stuff that's there. Just a heads up, there will be, I'm talking very serious with a community manager right now. So there is a possibility that someone will be taking over the Discord, and there's going to be kind of a social aspect to casualwrestling.com. So if all goes well, that person will be taking over the community manager role. And so there may be some changes coming to the Discord and the website. I'll let everybody know, and we'll discuss that when the time comes. And lastly, the Casual Wrestling community show guest sign up page will be up later this week, so people can start to sign up for spots for that show. So that's the housekeeping. We got all that out of the way. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw now. Now, I've never been a real big believer in manifestation. I don't believe that you can just make things happen. I don't think you can wish things into existence. Like, I believe if you work hard enough for long enough, the odds are that things go your way. But I don't believe that you can just, like, think real hard and have something come to be. But having said that, there are things that happen that shake my faith in my steadfast belief. And it's typically not in my favor. It's always a manifestation of something that I absolutely don't want to happen. And I think I did it this time. I will apologize. I think this is my fault. I fucked up and said a couple weeks ago that I hope we're not headed towards building the Mega Super Friends Alliance. And here we are. It's clear as day. This is the plan for Survivor Series. This is what they're going to give us. The Super Mega Friends, the WWE version of the Avengers, the Legion of whatever the fuck, boring. What is it? KO, Sami, Cody, and welcome our newest member to the Super Friends, Jey Uso. I'm sorry. I did this. They They even kind of, like, if you look at those guys, they even kind of resemble superheroes. Kevin Owens could be Batman. Sami Zayn could be the Flash. Cody is Superman. And Jey Uso's Aquaman. Survivor Series 2023, without a doubt, is going to be the Judgment Day versus the Super Friends in what? The ultimate story of good versus evil? Except, here's the problem. There's no plot. There's no real rivalry. There's no reason. It's just based on repetition. We've just been beat down. Triple H has beat us down for so long that he's gaslit us into believing this is a quality main event. This is wrestling's version of gaslighting. If you look on paper, the superstars in this match are all extraordinary, but there's no reason to have this match. What if the Judgment Day actually done to the Super Friends that's worse than anything Jey Uso did while he was part of the Bloodline? So let me get this straight. The Super Friends welcome in Jey Uso, but they're against the Judgment Day. Doesn't make sense to me. What are Kevin and Sami mad about? What, they lost their tag team titles? Okay, that shit happens all the time. Are we supposed to be sucked in and enamored by this non-existent rivalry? I don't get it. You waste Sami Zayn and KO's tag team title run so that we can roll them into a Survivor Series match based on that tag team title run that means absolutely nothing. I could give plenty of Survivor Series matches that would make more sense and be more interesting, but Triple H isn't ready to hear that. How about Team Jey versus Team Jimmy? That seems the most fucking obvious, but we're not going to do that. That would actually develop storylines and move things forward. How about Team NXT versus Team WWE? That one always works and introduces new stars. Right now, you have guys like Carmelo Hayes, Wes Lee, you have Braun Breaker, all of those guys waiting to join the main roster. And you need an influx of fresh talent. Let's do that. How about Judgment Day versus the Bloodline? Since confusingly enough, you've been teasing that on SmackDown week after week. But no, we're going to do Super Friends. But here's one. I could actually make the Super Friends versus the Judgment Day work if you actually gave two shits about this, Triple H. How about Sami and KO actually win the tag team titles back on Monday Night Raw, which upsets Mommy, and it creates a rivalry for Finn Balor and Damian Priest between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Are we just giving up on rivalries, on teams or superstars passing a belt back and forth? Are we just giving up? Is it just you get a title run, you get a certain amount of time, and then once you lose it, you go to the back of the line? The reason we don't have rivalries is because we don't have flip-flopping titles. How about we have Jey Uso beat Dominik Mysterio for the North American title? Maybe that would cause Dom to get, I don't know, jealous like you've been kind of hinting at. And it would create kind of a weird dynamic between Rhea Ripley and Jey Uso because maybe she's drawn to a champion. How about Damian Priest just actually teasing Cody Rhodes every so often that no matter what, if Cody finishes his storyline, he has a briefcase that can ruin that situation. Any of those things would work, but instead, Triple H is just he's gonna try and beat it down into our head. It's lazy booking from Triple H. And I saw a graphic posted on X that literally showed like the last 20 Monday Night Raws. If I have it on my phone, I will post it in this video. But it showed the last 20 Monday Night Raws and the different combinations that this same group of wrestlers have performed in matches together for the last, 6 months. And still, with all of the time that you have put these wrestlers in the ring together, you still don't have any semblance of an actual logical story that brings these wrestlers together. Like, what is Cody Rhodes' real beef with the Judgment Day? I can't remember. You haven't beat that home to me. What is Jey Uso's real beef with the Judgment Day? Dude, you were as much or more of a problem than them. Now all of a sudden, you have it doesn't make sense. I mean, they were just courting you last week. You're the one who attacked them. They invited you in with open arms. You just yelled on Monday Night Raw, no more groups. Then you literally went and joined the Super Friends. It is going to take some serious booking to get me to buy into this combination for Survivor Series. I absolutely don't get it. When I feel like there are multiple better options that actually could advance people's careers and their storylines. Now, on the bright side of Monday Night Raw, I think that Becky Lynch is back to being a little bit of a bright spot on the show. Becky just does better when she's a champion. She's less generic. She's a great front runner. Whereas I say Bianca Belair is a great chaser of titles, I think Becky Lynch is the opposite. Becky Lynch does best when she is in the top spot. Don't love Becky Lynch as a babyface. I think she gets very generic. But nonetheless, I enjoy Becky Lynch as a champion. And it was interesting. It was interesting to see WWE actually tap in to kind of a real life storyline and circle back to this idea of Becky Lynch versus Tegan Nox, which was reportedly X'd out last week because they wanted to get Natalya involved into that storyline. And it's kind of coming full circle and working itself out. But there's so much to like about seeing fresh faces on Monday Night Raw and actually seeing kind of new personalities come to light. Tegan Nox is somebody I could actually get behind. She seems like a likable character. If she's given just a little bit of screen time, maybe there's a star in the making. But I have to be honest. This wouldn't be the Casual Wrestling Monday Night Post show if I didn't point out the good with the bad in every segment of Monday Night Raw. Now, the good, here's a good thing. We actually saw a straight up number one contenders match for a championship. How long has it been since just right in front of us, no bullshit, clean winner, number one contenders match? I can't remember the last one. And I hate when WWE does these champion contender matches where they have somebody face the champion, somehow the contender beats the champion and then is given a title shot the next week. I hate it. It's horrible, lazy, stupid booking. But number one contenders matches, they're great for booking because they give purpose to a match that doesn't directly feature the title. But in true Triple H fashion, he found a way to fuck this up. Why do you have a number one contenders match the week before Becky Lynch is set to defend her title against Tiffany Stratton on an NXT Premium Live event? I don't get it. Like, this story is obviously being set up here on Monday Night Raw to feature Becky Lynch versus Tegan Nox for the NXT title. So spoiler alert, guys, Tiffany's not winning. And now Triple H could actually be clever. He could have Tiffany win the belts at No Mercy, but that's not going to happen. That's not what Triple H is predictable. He's boring. He's plain. Why not have Natty show up in NXT and cost Becky Lynch the match, leading to, on Monday Night Raw, Tiffany Stratton versus Tegan Nox? Put Becky on commentary if you just absolutely need her on the show to appease the crowd, but showcase some new talent, Triple H. I was all for Becky Lynch elevating the NXT title, but not at the expense of Tiffany Stratton. 2 back-to-back losses to Becky Lynch are fucking unnecessary. Like, this could actually build into a fun story if you let it. There's even a Survivor Series match here if you wanted to, Triple H. Team Tiffany versus Team Becky. I'm with it. I'm good with it. I don't see the benefit in burying Tiffany behind 2 losses on NXT, as well as seemingly pre-announcing to your NXT audience that whenever a main roster star shows up on NXT, it's just easy for them to take the title away from younger talent. You have to do better with this type of booking. Props for a number one contenders match, Triple H, but way to fuck it up by just foretelling us what's going to happen on NXT Premium Live events. So you know what I find funny about Monday Night Raw, about Triple H, about WWE, is that instead of WWE just actually creating some new titles, for Monday Night Raw, Triple H is just going to absorb all of the NXT titles onto the main roster. And at first, I was kind of behind Triple H. I was defending him. I said, this is just a ploy to get people to watch NXT. But here's the problem. I don't think that's what it is. I actually think that this is a ploy by Triple H to get NXT fans to pay attention to the 3 hours of shit he's putting on Monday nights. So in pure AEW style of booking, we got a random ass match tonight. Dragon Lee versus Dirty Dom, because the original contender for the North American title got fired. So fuck it. We got to put somebody in the ring with Dirty Dom. And let's talk about this match. More importantly, let's do our monthly Dominik Mysterio check-in. Because it feels like every month I have to check in because the IWC jumps onto Twitter, X, Instagram, and they overreact to something that Dom did in the ring. And I have to bring everybody back down to reality. So let me be clear, because the narrative coming out of this monologue segment is going to be, I just hear the IWC, bro just hates Dominik Mysterio. And that's really not the case. I'm not down on Dominik Mysterio. I'm just realistic. I don't know what it is. WWE didn't send me my packet of Dominik Mysterio Kool-Aid that causes the people on the internet to overreact every time Dominik Mysterio has a singles match on Monday Night Raw. Let me start by saying this, that the IWC and the haters, you guys gotta chill the fuck out. Dragon Lee versus Dominik Mysterio was a good match. Keyword, good. It was a good match. Now, if you go to X, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, any of those, and you check out what the IWC is saying, the IWC that drank the Dirty Dom Kool-Aid, you're going to hear some very interesting things. Let's start out with @Wegner Vision. He said, was that a 4-star match? ? Then he proceeded to post a poll where 56% of the IWC voted that was a 4 to 5 star match. What? Roro and Dorian said, future champ, ? With a photo of Dominik Mysterio holding the undisputed titles. What? For real? This is what you guys saw? I Follow Sports said, Dom just hit the nicest frog splash on Dragon Lee that I've ever seen. Bro, did you start watching wrestling yesterday? Like, I get it. I overreact to things. It's part of the shtick that I play when I do my podcast. But I can't fake it on the level that the IWC does for Dominik Mysterio. Why can't Dominik Mysterio just have a good match and we be okay with it? Why do we have to crown him the next world champion, the next big thing? I can read body language. And when I look at Dominik Mysterio in a ring, he doesn't have that dog in him. He doesn't have that killer in him. He doesn't have that mentality that makes you a top guy. If you want to do comps, I saw people going, Dominik Mysterio is the next Shawn Michaels. What the fuck are y'all talking about? Dominik Mysterio is more X-Pac than he is Shawn Michaels. Dominik Mysterio is a role player. He can generate Vicky Guerrero levels of heat, but not by himself. He can't carry the team. He can't put the show on his shoulders. He can't put the faction on his back. And none of what I'm saying should be viewed as negative. Every team needs a Draymond Green. You can tell that when Dominik Mysterio is in the ring, he's uncomfortable. He's awkward. He doesn't buy all the way in yet. It will take time, but he's 26 years old. You guys keep telling me he's so young. 26 years old, it's young, but not when you compare it to the people in that age category. Rhea Ripley's 26 years old. She's on top of the game. Austin Theory is just a few booking decisions away from being the top guy on SmackDown. He's 26 years old. Dominik Mysterio is not better than Wes Lee. He's 28. He's not better than Braun Breaker. He's 25. And he's not better than Carmelo Hayes, who's just 3 years older at 29. And MJF, he's 27. And once again, I'm not saying this to belittle Dominik Mysterio. I'm saying it because the IWC has to react appropriately to good performances. Let's rate it fairly. Stop Dave Meltzering this motherfucker and just handing out 5 stars like the IWC is Oprah. You get 5 stars. You get 5 stars. Dom gets 5 stars. Here's a list of things. I've put together a list of things that I will allow you as IWC members to say about Dominik Mysterio's match on Monday Night Raw. And I will not overreact and I will not cook you if you say these things. You are allowed to say, Dom vs. Dragon Lee was the second best match on Monday Night Raw this week. I'll allow it. You could say, hey, that was the best Dominik Mysterio match. He's getting better. I'll allow it. And you can even say, hey, that was a really good match. Good. You can say good. Don't fucking say great. Don't say amazing. Don't say perfect. Use the word that fits the situation. Dominik Mysterio had a very good match this week on Monday Night Raw. Last thing we have to talk about this week is something that can't be a coincidence. Something I picked up on. I think a lot of the internet picked up on it, but you guys confirm with me. Let me know I'm not crazy. Something happened on Monday Night Raw, and it's not a conspiracy or a coincidence. This is real life, right? Like, we are all catching the subliminal shots that Seth Rollins is throwing at CM Punk, right? Like, I get it. Seth Rollins saying he's 100% the best in the world doesn't have to be a shot at CM Punk, but it is a shot at CM Punk, right? Like, that's what's happening. I understand that there's this stigma around Seth Rollins not liking CM Punk, but we are all under agreement that a genius wrestling mind like Seth Rollins understands that CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, a program, a full-on story, could easily win Feud of the Year. And it's not just the match, it's the promos, it's the build, it's the storytelling, right? Like, we all understand that. If Seth Rollins could carry Logan Paul at WrestleMania, you don't think Seth Rollins could put on a banger of a match with CM Punk? I know CM Punk's a little stiff. I know he's a little bit old, but I think that working with Seth Rollins, the chemistry could be there. And we're all under the belief, right, that CM Punk would be a pretty feather in the cap of Seth Rollins. And let me explain to you how you book it. Fastlane, last man standing, Shinsuke Nakamura almost getting it done. Man in a hood comes out, attacks Seth Rollins, leaves him down. We don't know who it is, injuring him for an undisclosed amount of time. Shinsuke Nakamura becomes the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and we get reports that Seth Rollins is out for an indefinite amount of time. Then on Monday night, Shinsuke Nakamura title celebration. That's what we do for the main event. We get away from this 6-man tag team bullshit. We let the Super Friends either go first or take the night off, but we end the show with a Shinsuke Nakamura title celebration. And as the main event is kind of concluding, and Shinsuke's in there gloating and talking his shit and kind of letting the world know this was coming, boom. Cult of personality hits. CM Punk walks to the ring. He challenges Shinsuke Nakamura to a World Heavyweight Champion shot at Survivor Series in Chicago. That's easy. That books itself. People will go absolutely ape shit for that. Chicago, CM Punk beats Shinsuke Nakamura, carries the title all the way to WrestleMania. Seth Rollins returns at the Royal Rumble, wins the Royal Rumble, and challenges CM Punk to a World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania. Main event, night 1, WrestleMania, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, World Heavyweight Championship on the line. CM Punk gets his dream, finally gets to main event of WrestleMania. He puts over Seth Rollins, just adding another layer of mystique to the idea of Seth Rollins, and it fucking writes itself. Triple H, if you don't book it this way, I swear to God, I don't know what you're doing. It's all, the stars have all aligned up. Survivor Series being in Chicago. Shinsuke Nakamura CM Punk is a match that Chicago will get behind. They can put on a hell of a match with CM Punk coming out on top. You can use CM Punk to get through this nasty winter that WWE has that comes from November, December, January until the Royal Rumble. It's so fucking plain and simple, and I guarantee you we don't get it. All right, let's talk some news. So Jade Cargill makes her first public comments since signing with WWE. Jade Cargill is officially part of the WWE roster and says that joining the company was always her mission. Cargill made her first public comments since the news broke on Tuesday that she had signed a multi-year contract with WWE. Plain and simple, she said she feels great to have joined the company. To the Ringer Wrestling Show, Cargill said, "It feels great, you know? I feel like I was just in preparation for the grand stage. I felt like this was always the mission. I felt like the shoes fit. I felt like this was gonna happen. Honestly, this is all expected, and I'm excited to be here." Those words, those exact words, that quote should haunt the ears of the IWC and AEW fans. You guys should be so fearful of what Jade Cargill just said. She said what I've been saying all along. There's only one grand stage. There's only one mountaintop. There's only one ultimate goal, one mission. Jade wanted to be in WWE. And if you guys think for a second that that's not the same thought process that people like MJF have, you're insane. Jade went on to say, "I want to create a legacy. I want to be in the Hall of Fame. I want to wrestle with the best women in the world. There is no grander stage. There's no grander stage than this stage. The opportunities are endless with this company. It was a no-brainer." Listen, it was a no-brainer. You hear that? It was a no-brainer. It was very welcoming. I didn't have any second thoughts about it at all. Didn't even have second thoughts about it. What, Jade? It was an easy choice. Well, I mean, it wasn't easy, but it was easy. Yeah, it's easy. It's WWE. It's WrestleMania. It's the big leagues. That's what everybody aspires. Stop, IWC, stop believing that AEW is a viable second option. It's the semi-pros. It's the XFL. It's the USFL. Jade went on to talk about Cody Rhodes. This is interesting. He was top 3 and not the 3rd. He's a phenomenal man. I've seen what the businesses did for him. I've seen him be the stellar athlete that he is. I didn't see any difference for myself. He was one of the guys that led me to a great decision. Y'all want a translation? Cody Rhodes is poaching your talent, AEW, because I don't know, he won't say it, but someone in AEW pissed him off. And Cody's going for blood. Cody's going to take your main superstars. He's going to take your marketable superstars. And oh, by the way, guys, you know who else is good friends with Cody Rhodes? MJF. And when one domino falls, there's usually a long line that follows. AEW is a leaking pipe, and I expect that by the end of 2023, it's going to explode. Let's talk about the roster cuts. Matt Riddle, Dolph Ziggler, among more than 20 superstars released after the new TV deal was announced. I didn't get to talk about this because of the lens breaking and not doing the Friday show, but I want to throw in my 2 cents on the topic. The IWC, in pure IWC fashion, completely overreacted to this list of released superstars. Most of the names that were released, what was it, Friday, Thursday? I don't remember exactly what it was, but most of the names that were released were names that weren't featured on television. They were people that nobody was clamoring for. And I'm guessing that a few of the names that got released, will ultimately find out they probably asked to be released. But let's be real for a second. Let's break down some of these names. Riddle, too many opportunities, too many fuck-ups. AEW's not going to take him either because he'd probably whoop the ass of the elite in the back of the locker room when they act like little pieces of shit. I honestly expect Riddle to end up back in WWE at some point once he gets his shit straight. I think this is one of those things where we keep slapping you on the wrist. You're not paying attention. You need to go get your shit straight, and then if you figure it out, you can come back. I think that's what's going on with Riddle. Dolph Ziggler. There's nothing left for Dolph Ziggler in WWE. I get that this one stings a little bit because he always felt like a WWE lifer. But like the only thing left for for Dolph Ziggler in WWE is jobbing and putting guys over. And I just think Ziggler kind of deserves better than that. I think AEW will allow him a work schedule to work comedy and wrestling. I think that he gets to be with his brother. And I think that Dolph Ziggler will find a level of success in AEW like guys like Billy Gunn and Christian. So I think this, for Dolph Ziggler, I think this is a positive. I don't see this as a negative. Then you got Mustafa Ali. This is the guy who asked for his release multiple times. This is the guy that's the prototypical AEW wrestler. He's going to fit in on that roster. AEW is not a lateral move for him. It's a wrestling promotion. He will do well in AEW. Now after that, what you have is a bunch of fat trimming. WWE had too big of a roster. TKO came in and they played the bad guy and they cut the fat. Emma, Aaliyah, Top Dollar, Masay Mansoor, those people, they're all people who are going to have to prove themselves on the indies if they want to continue wrestling. They weren't people who solidified their spot when they had opportunities on the main roster. The only two real names that were a surprise to me that I saw on this list, not even that, that big of a surprise, but that I was like, Riddick Moss, because I thought there was a ton of potential there. And then Rick Boogs, who after being cut came out and claimed that somebody in WWE has it out for him. He said that there was a portion of the WWE locker room that actually misses Vince McMahon. I saw someone on Twitter actually say that Rick Boogs was the victim of Triple H's no personality style of booking. And I found that to be interesting because if you look deep, that could end up being true. Triple H does have a little bit of a fetish for the IWC style wrestler. And so I think, Rick Boogs said he's going to come out and talk more about it when the time is right. I'll definitely be interested to hear what he has to say. So the last story of the night here is Tony Khan went on to the Wrestle Dream Media call where he went on to say that AEW is doing the best shows that it's ever done right now. And unless you are wearing a tinfoil hat or not watching, you don't know that. He says that he felt this past Saturday was the best Collision. We've never been more organized. He says people say that AEW doesn't tell stories, and to that, he says, show me that you're actually watching the shows. He says that AEW has to roll with the punches when there's injuries and that they pivot, but the quality of the show is strong. It's no different than when a football player is hurt. You just have to keep going with whichever script or game plan that you would put together. He's very happy with what they're doing in AEW right now. Hold on one second, because he said something interesting there. He said, unless you're wearing your tinfoil hat or not watching, so I think this hat is much more fitting for what I'm about to say. Tony Khan, you want us to believe you as the booker, when you say something, it has to be true, right? You as a booker would never tell us a lie. You would never explain to us that your show is in shambles. What do the ratings say, Tony Khan? Do they say these are the best shows you've ever put on? Look at the numbers. The people aren't watching. Nobody's watching, Tony. Not the casuals, not your loyal IWC, not your elite, not your Kenny Omega die-hard fans. But hey, this is a great business strategy, Tony. Just keep booking your little buddies and keep telling the world that they don't understand how good this product is. Tony Khan, you are the definition of fake it until you make it. Why doesn't one journalist have the balls to look Tony Khan in the eyes or speak up on that phone call and say, hey, if these stories are so good, why can't you sell a fucking ticket? Tony, do you just live by the power of positivity? Tony Khan's idea of storytelling is a guy countering a move in a match 3 years ago and having the announcer say, hey, this guy knows this because he knows his moveset from the match they had 3 years ago. There's no real storytelling going on in AEW. They try to sell us, the IWC tries to sell us on these 5-year-long stories where you have to go look up what happened in New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom and some obscure match that took place in some gym in some backwoods fucking city. Like that's not storytelling. And don't get me started on this Wrestle Wet Dream pay-per-view that's coming up. I don't know when, soon. Everybody's talking about it. Whatever it's called. But Tony Khan says this is starting the new era of wrestling. So basically what that means in Tony Khan speak is that this new era is probably going to be the debut of Sasha Banks. It's going to be the debut of Edge. And it's going to be Tony Khan purchasing an established wrestling company. So he has new title belts to throw around. Someone please explain to Tony Khan what the word new means, because that ain't it. All right, so let's switch it up this week. Instead of giving out individual awards, I'm going to do an Abby Lee style pyramid of who I'm paying attention to on Monday Night Raw. If you don't know who Abby Lee is, go look her up. She's a gem of a fucking person. This week, I'd like to welcome 3 superstars to the bottom of my pyramid on my radar tier list. I would like to welcome Tegan Knox. I see you. I think I could be interested in what you're doing. I'd like to welcome Dragon Lee. I see you. I think there's some talent there. And I'd like to officially welcome Tommaso Ciampa, because even though he's been one of my favorite wrestlers, I think he's finally starting to find a little bit of a rhythm, and he's piqued my interest. He's now on my radar. So there are 2 superstars that currently have my attention on Monday Night Raw. Those people are Damian Priest. He continues to impress me. I think there are big things ahead for Damian Priest. Secondly, I think it's Seth Rollins. Even though whatever bullshit story he's in right now is kind of depressing me, I think that when you start dropping subliminals about CM Punk, you get my attention. And last, the top of the pyramid, we're going to call it King of Monday Night Raw. It's Gunther. Even though he wasn't on the screen much this week, he's the king of Monday Night Raw. He's the reason I watch. He is the main event, and I look forward to seeing more and more and more of him every week. He's literally the biggest reason to tune in to Monday Night Raw. But let's give Raw a score. Remember the casual scale. 5 is amazing. 4 is great. 3 is okay. 2 is bad. 1 is horrible. Raw this week was a 2. It was a 2. It's deja vu. It's repetitive booking over and over and over again. Monday Night Raw is not must-see TV. I don't know what Triple H is doing, but it's not. When you had AEW on the ropes and you could have put your foot on their throat, it feels like Triple H is letting his foot off the gas. Raw is not must-see TV. You could miss Raw and literally pick up the next week and probably not even have any confusion about what's going on. But that's all I have for you guys this week. Make sure to tune into the Casual Wrestling Podcast every Wednesday night. The Champ and the Chick that post every Sunday night. The SmackDown Post Show every Friday night. Hit the like button. Share this episode with somebody you know. Casual Wrestling merch is available on the new casualwrestling.com. Check that out. Until next time, keep it casual. I'm tapping out.
Step in the ring, if you ready, let's go. Ay, Casual Wrestling Community Show. You already know, talking WWE. Keep it rolling and hosted by Notorious NerdyD. Dope show that you gon' find. Tune in cause it's online. Hit 'em with a figure 4 leg lock, power driver or clothesline. We bringing that heat like the show.